Hello, struggle streamers. Heather here, and I am diving into the free streaming universe today to bring you the gems, the flops, and the what the heck did I just watch that you can stream all for free on your devices. Today, I'm sharing a classic 90s coming of age story about an awkward middle school girl, her middle child relationship with her family and her siblings, and her resilience and how she copes with her own insecurities um, in the face of these harsh realities. So, welcome to the Dollhouse. This is streaming free on Tubi, and it was released in 1996, and it runs about an hour and a half long. Similar to the Naomi Osaka documentary I recently reviewed, our main protagonist, Dawn, is an underdog, and you just root for her the whole way. No one at her school likes her. She has no friends. They call her Wiener Dog because her last name is Wiener. And there's one other loser in school who would even rather not associate with her at all when she offers to help him after he's been bullied, just to protect his own self from being bullied any further. Dawn is an unremarkable middle child of a suburban family in New Jersey. And her older brother is Mark, who is very, very smart. And his whole goal is to get into college, get into a good school. So he's kind of an overachiever. Missy is the younger sister. She is perfect in every way. Her parents love her. She is the child that they always wanted. And she's a little ballerina, and she's adorable and the gem of her parents' eyes. Dawn, being the middle child and being completely devoid of talents or anything that makes her exceptional, is just kind of forgotten about by her parents. She is not noticed. She is not praised for any of her talents or skills or anything. It's kind of the same thing at school. She is an unremarkable student. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She dresses awkwardly. She has glasses that don't fit her face. And she's really trying to figure out her place in the world as a social outcast. In the very opening scene, we are brought back to our own middle school years, which it was very similar to the scene in Forrest Gump when little Forrest is trying to find a seat on the school bus, and all the kids are saying seats taken, and there's nowhere for little Forrest to sit. Dawn is looking for a seat in the cafeteria, and no one will let her sit with them. So finally, she finds a spot with this kind of angry tomboy character, and she's not thrilled about the person that she's sitting with, but at least it's somebody. Well, along come the cheerleaders, and they stare her up and down. They go, "Hey, Wiener Dog, are you a lesbian?" And she doesn't respond. She said, "Well, are you?" She says, "No." And then the tomboy character comes down on her and says, "Well, she just hit on me." So the cheerleaders go away screaming, "Lesbo, lesbo." It's just very uncomfortable and very awkward, and you do really feel bad for Dawn in that moment, because we all know someone like that. We may have been through that ourselves, and it really does take you back to middle school and feeling those horrific feelings of being an adolescent and trying to just get through the day. If you struggled in middle school, if you have kids who are struggling in middle school, this movie will speak to you. I know my 6th grade year was similar to Dawn's experience in countless ways, and I still can remember the names of the people who bullied me, and I remember the names of the bullies who did harm to other kids and how egregious it was. And I just feel like today, like, there's so much awareness in school about bullying, and they do like these grand productions on what you should do if you're being bullied and who you should call. And unfortunately, it's all talk, because it's still happening and kids are still relentlessly mocked, and it's even worse with social media. So definitely, I feel like this movie speaks to everybody who has ever been bullied or was the bully, though no one will ever admit that they were the bully, of course, right? Despite this being such a serious topic, It does categor it is categorized as a dark comedy, and there are some very funny moments in this film. Or maybe you won't see them as funny, but you'll definitely feel that cringe element and that discomfort. Dawn desperately wants to be a bad girl, and she even goes to like the neighborhood bad girl to get advice on how to get this older high school boy's attention. His name is Steve, and he's being tutored by Dawn's older brother in computer science, I think. The boy comes over to their house quite a bit, and clearly Steve has no interest in Dawn, but Dawn is quite smitten with Steve. So she goes to the bad girl. I don't recall what her name was, but she's like, "Do you think I have a chance with Steve?" And the girl says, "No, Dawn, look at yourself." And so it's like this moment of realization where Dawn understands that her clothes aren't right, her look isn't right. There's nothing sexy about her. She is straight up little girl. The direction was outstanding. Solondz. I'm not sure of the pronunciation. I think it's Solondz. Um, there's a reason why this movie won the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. It is so well done. And what he does is he kind of weaves his storylines between different projects of his. So later on, like 20 years later, he did another picture called Wiener Dog, which I haven't seen, but apparently features like Dawn Wiener as an adult. The scenes with Dawn and Steve are painfully one-sided, and that sentiment is really captured well on film. For example, there's a scene where Steve comes over and he's there to get tutored by Mark, but Mark isn't home, so Dawn invites him in and prepares a tray of snacks for him. And he just sits there and grotesquely eats the snacks, like smacking his lips and making really revolting chewing sounds. And she just stands there looking at him, gazing at him lovingly. The music, the Dying Swan from Swan Lake, starts to play, which gives it this like sadly romantic element to it, which is just hysterical. And that's where like those little elements of dark comedy come in. Heather Matarazzo plays Dawn so freaking good. She's adorable in her little glasses and her little awkward outfits and her little dimples. She's so perfectly cast for that role. And it definitely felt like I could relate to that character. She was very much, I mean, I could have worn the stuff that she wore when I was 12 years old. The cinematography was very good. There was a scene towards the end where Dawn is contemplating a new club she wants to set up. She's got a backyard fort clubhouse thing, and she wants Steve to be her first official member of her club, which is why it is so precious. Like, she's still this little girl, and she's navigating these teenage slash young adult feelings and doesn't quite know how to do it. And this scene is shot in such a way that Steve looks really, really big. Sorry, I forgot the clip for my mic. Steve looks really, really big, and Dawn looks very, very small. And it just kind of captures the insignificance that she feels and that we all feel at that age when we're trying to figure out who we are. And seriously, even throughout life, when we don't feel like we're enough. The main themes I think we see in this film are the cruelty of adolescence and the social hierarchies that we all kind of have to endure as we're growing up. I would like to think that these social hierarchies have subsided or matured over the years, but they haven't. My kids are in high school now, but middle school was torture, especially for my daughter. It was ruthless, and nothing has changed since I was in middle school in the 80s in terms of kids being horrible to one another. There's also this theme of invisible neglect, where on the outside, this family seems so normal and so wholesome and totally put together, but on the inside, the middle child is being completely ignored. Well, it seems like even both of the older kids are being ignored, and all the attention goes to the little one, and that's kind of abusive. When Dawn goes into the city to search for her missing sister. Nobody knows she's gone. And when she returns, people just walk by her and don't even say anything to her. In the end, there's no reward or redemption for her struggle. She gets no glow up. She gets humiliated in front of her classmates and her crush and everybody just for trying to do the right thing. And I love that there's no happy ending for her, because that's kind of the Gen X theme that we all grew up with. Fairness isn't promised to everyone. It's not promised to anyone. And we live in a culture where fairness and happy endings are expected, but they just don't happen. So life isn't like that. It's this beautiful Gen X moral to the story. We were the invisible generation. Nobody notices us. We've grown up with kind of a sense of apathy and detachment. That indifference is kind of our lifelong companion. And we know that no one is coming to save us in the end. And the fact that Dawn didn't get her happy ending just kind of, it reinforces that theme. So go rewatch it on Tubi. If you haven't seen it, watch it for the first time. Let me know what you think of it, and let's get together for another one of these walks. Once you finish watching your movie, go out, get some nature, get some fresh air, touch some grass. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.